Republican Representative Jim Jordan is apparently in favor of defunding the police.
Is we control the power of the purse, and we're going to have to look at the appropriations process and limit funds going to some of these agencies, particularly the ones who are engaged in the most egregious behavior.
So the DOJ and the FBI.
Yeah.
Well, there it is. Defund the agencies who just happen to be looking into Donald Trump and our side because, you know, of course. Oh, you want to look into potential crimes that we have done?
Can't let that happen.
No. Now, it is important to note, by the way, that Jim Jordan has this weaponization committee, which has found no evidence of weaponization against conservatives. And that's because it's not happening. If you think, there's only one explanation as to why Jim Jordan and people that are looking for weaponization, the government, they can't seem to find it, is because it does not exist. It's not like they're not motivated to find weaponization. So, and look, the reason that conservative political figures, some of them keep getting hit with crimes, is because they're doing crimes. It's really, really simple. And there are people that want to continue to do crime. That's not to say Democrat politicians have never done crimes. Yes, they have before, actually. And I would hope that we also go after them, as well as conservatives who do crime. I'm actually in favor of the equal application of justice and the equal application of the law. So now, let's get to the types of things that I actually want to see. I guess like a good example of personal corruption, right? That both Republicans and Democrats, in this case, Republicans like Ted Cruz, want to continue doing and have actually legalized through our system. Ted Cruz made a personal loan to his campaign and then paid himself back, intentionally going over the campaign finance limit so that he could go challenge it. He had successfully challenged a 2002 law, which put a cap on $250,000 raised after an election to pay back loans that candidates gave their own campaigns before Election Day. That law was in effect, but again, thanks to Cruz specifically challenging that law and the conservative Supreme Court, it's gone now, and you can do more personal corruption. Hey, loan your campaign as much money as you want, and you're just going to get it back from your campaign funds. Win or lose, doesn't matter. Great. Just stuff it right back into your pocket. Now, there's more corruption. Former Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke and his chief of staff had knowingly provided incorrect, incomplete, and misleading answers to federal investigators from the department's Office of Inspector General while working under Trump. The DOJ ultimately declined to pursue criminal charges for lying to these investigators in both cases. But the Inspector General's office did find administrative violations for both of these cases. Weird. There were other investigations into other Republicans, like Matt Gaetz, that ended up being dropped by the Justice Department as well. It's almost as if the DOJ has a pattern of treating wealthy and powerful people differently than, say, I don't know, people without power, like racial justice protesters. In fact, Jim Jordan loved it when the police, law enforcement, would crack down on racial justice protesters. And by the way, hated the idea of defunding police.
There's been this defund the police concept out there. There's been this attack on law enforcement, and you're not getting the best of the best. In fact, they may have 100 openings and get 10 people to apply, where just 10, 20 years ago...
Aren't you making the case for federal standards then? Because if you make a case for having strong standards that's uniform across the board, it gives people comfort.
I'm making the case that we shouldn't have this whole attitude about defund the police and disparaging police, because the vast, vast majority of police officers aren't doing what we saw in that video.
Despairing. How dare we disparage police? I mean, we should not be attacking law enforcement. I mean, as long as they're beating the hell out of black people and killing them. But yeah, goddamn law enforcement, how dare they go after Donald Trump? We must defund them. Wait. Now, look, that same interview, that's from January, by the way. The real conversation that has been had about defunding police has been on the Republican side. And it's mainly about funding the FBI, DOJ. By the way, not a big fan of the FBI. I'm a leftist. But here's what Marjorie Greene said last month. I made up my mind. I will not vote for a budget that funds the two-tier justice system in America. The Democrat-controlled DOJ and FBI top brass are political and have weaponized their power against the right to persecute everyone with with conservative values and align with Trump, but refuses to prosecute the left for their what crimes? What crimes did Marjorie Greene make up in her head the left had committed that she wants the DOJ to go after him for? Remember, we're talking about also the FBI, who has a very long history of going after who? Oh, right, the left, especially socialists. Also not a fan of communists, I hear. Oh, yes. And black people. And social, people who are interested in social, long documented history. Okay. Now, in early March, Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz also called to defund and get rid of agencies, including the FBI, the CDC. The CDC. Now, let's get rid of the Centers of Disease Control right after a pandemic. Stupid. Wow. Also, the ATF, the DOJ, every last one of them, if they do not come to heel. Oh, so if they don't do everything that the right wing wants, that's why we need to get rid of them. Ah, I see. Look, you all know what this is really about. It's not about the investigation. It's not about the indictment in Manhattan. Defunding the federal government, the DOJ, the FBI, etc., all the different acronyms that he wants to get rid of, the ABCs, the EFGs, that's not going to change this. Look, the investigation that led to Trump's indictment was conducted by Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. That is a state prosecutor. That is a state-level case. And by the way, that very much that case is on some shaky ground because it is based on a novel legal theory that's going to be tested in court. They're going to have to prove that doing this state-level crime, falsifying business records, wasn't pursuant to a crime that could apply to campaign finance laws, federally. So it's going to be interesting if they have the evidence to do that. We'll have to see them make that case and present that evidence. But that's not what this one is about. Trump is under federal investigation for mishandling of classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. There was new evidence that came out on that on Monday, as well as obstruction of justice related to the return of those said documents and his role in the January 6 riots. So they figure for the investigations that are involving the DOJ, that are involving Merrick Garland, Jack Smith, why not just cut funding? I mean, it's worked everywhere else. We don't like stuff, that helps generally poor people. We don't like those programs. We're just going to cut the funding in. There you go. We didn't like that. What was it? Acorn or whatever that was doing, that was helping people register to vote. So we're going to get Obama to cut it. And that was Project Veritas that did the, Sting, so-called Sting video, that got that to happen. Look, the whole point is, of all of this, they do not want themselves investigated. They want to get away with any of their crimes. And again, look, I told you, I don't trust the FBI. The left is mainly a target, has been traditionally a target of these law enforcement agencies. I also support, by the way, redirecting funds from police budgets to mental health services and community programs aimed at reducing crime and police brutality. I also don't want any side to be the target of a weaponized Justice Department. And there's a lot of people who agree with me, okay? But Jim Jordan is not one of them. Marjorie Taylor Greene is not one of them. They're absolutely fine with a weaponized justice system as long as it's not weaponized against them, as long as they can weaponize it against their political opponents. Everything that they say is projection. Every accusation is a confession. Look, I'm not saying that it's weaponized right now against anybody. But I think it's almost a guarantee that if these people get their way, will be not only against the left, which has been traditionally used against, but it's also now going to be used against anyone left, right, and center that doesn't agree 100% of the Jim Jordans and Marjorie Greenes of the world. So that is a very, very real concern that could affect all of us.